So this is the long awaited video for the weight painting section of this course. Finally found the time to actually get around and pre-make a few videos. So by this point we should have all the rig set up really easy. I've just taken my entire body, including my eyes and my fur planes, and I've just put them underneath one layer for now. So obviously to bind the skin we just need to select the mesh itself and select the root joint, then make sure we're in the rigging tab of our Maya and draw it down to bind skin. Now just to be safe, it's best to just go in and reset the tools on this. I don't think yours will be wrong, but just be safe. So now we bound the skin. You can tell that because the mesh is now purple. When I select the root joint, the mesh is purple. And when in Maya, when anything's purple, it basically just means that this is being controlled by whatever you've got selected. So we can go through now and we can just check a few things. There you go. I'm actually going to just reference that layer as well so it's uninteractable. There you go, so you can see that our rig is responding. Our mesh is responding to our rig. So now it's time to paint the weights into our model. So first things first, I'm just going to change the pose a little bit so I can tell what's actually being affected and what's not. So you can see there that just underneath the carriage, the pelvis is being affected by that leg. Paint that out. See there, the chest is being affected. Could probably paint that out as well. So yeah, the stomach is being definitely affected. I can take that out. That's being affected by something inside the leg. So the ears actually aren't that bad. They've got they're influencing part of the hair, but the ears have actually come on pretty nicely. Oh, and just down near the cheek there I can see they're being affected down there. And then the eyes, they're going to have a lot of effect on the head. So the eyes are really easy to do. And the mouth, I'll just, there you go. So that's obviously affecting a lot of area. So, and I'll just straighten the tail out a little bit like that. But all in all, it's not a bad wrap, it's not a bad bind, just a few little bits and bobs to sort out. So let's do a save. Okay, so first things first, I'm actually going to go paint my eyes because they're the easiest to do. So to get up my weight painting tools, I'm going to hold right click on my model and I get the weight painting tool selection, and then once I click that, the entire mesh should go black, and whatever it wants, it's selected that layer, that joint, so it's showing me the influence of that joint. So I want my eyes, so inside this top group here, this top menu, that's all the joints inside my mesh. So I want to look for the eyes, which are going to be in the head joint section, and the eye look. There we go. So you can see there that there's a lot of influence around the head that shouldn't be there. Now one thing I can do here is inside our values down here, I've got opacity, value. Opacity is just how strong the brush is, so it's just like a Photoshop brush. Value is, so if that's 1 and I'm painting in there 100% value, if I take that down to there, I'm now painting in grey value. So if it's all the way off, I'm painting away influence. If it's all the way in, I'm painting in influence. Okay, but for the head, for this section, for the eyes, I don't need any influence on the actual head itself. I just need it on the actual eyes. Excuse me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to utilise this flood thing here. We're going to utilise that quite a lot. So I don't want any influence inside the mesh for the eyes. So I'm going to take that value all the way down to 0. I'm going to click flood. So now that completely takes away all the influence on the head. And I'll do that with the other eyes as well. So look, you see there, influence everywhere, flood, take it away. So now what I want to do is paint 100% influence just on the eye itself. So I'm going to go in and I'm just going to paint in there. So it's going to be a little bit tricky at first, but all I'm doing is just finding the eye and painting the influence back into it. 100% influence. So that when the eye moves around, it's being completely controlled by that joint, but it's not affecting the head mesh around it. Okay, and then to the other one, like so. Cool. So now if I grab these, so I've made a mistake there in my weight painting. I've only had, right, so I have to do that again. So I made a bit of a mistake there because I'm not paying attention. I had my right eye look selected when I was doing these, and I've actually painted on both of them, when really this eye shouldn't have anything on it, because this is the joint only for that eye. So that was my mistake there. And one really cool little shortcut hotkey is if I'm painting in influence and I want to paint stuff away, if I hold control, you can see that R in the middle, that radius has turned to inverted. That means it's basically doing the opposite. So I'm just holding control, painting in. Well, I'm painting in, and then I'm holding control, painting out. It's very cool. That's what I did in that eye then. Alright, so I'll find the left eye. Boom. Take away the influence and paint it back in. Okay, there we go. So what I'm also going to do is I'm going to lock these layers. So the left eye look joint and the right eye look joint, I've just clicked the little padlock next to it. So yeah, I'm just clicking these locks just to make sure that when I'm doing stuff around the head, that the influence isn't going to affect the eyeball, or my influence in the eyeball isn't going to affect the head. So now when I do that, they're now going to move perfectly. There we go, that's one successful. And I can just zero out that. There we go. Go back to weight painting. And let's go down to the mouth. So the mouth is a little bit, it's pulling on the face, and that's because of these two joints here. So I'm going to go up here, I'm going to just pan down, find my head section. There we go. So I can tell that this is affecting a lot of surface area, which I don't want it to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my value again down to 0, hit flood, go down to the one below it, hit flood again. So now my mouth isn't having any effect. And just to be safe, that one doesn't actually move, but I'm just going to take away the influence anyway, just to be safe. So now I'm just working on these two joints, my jaw 2 and my jaw 3. And I'm going to go and lock jaw 3 now, and just work on jaw 2. I'm going to slowly just paint in a little bit of, so I'll bring my opacity down to halfway, and I'll just paint in some of the mouth. So I'm going to be grabbing the top of the mouth there, which I don't want. I just want to be grabbing this section. There we go. And this is where it gets a little bit finicky. I've just got to push it back. And put it in. So I'm also smoothing some of the UVs there. I'm just holding shift and you can see it says SM there, so I'm smoothing some of that influence as well, just so it's not as sharp. Okay. And now I'm just gonna, this halfway point, I'm just gonna smooth that out so it takes away the influence. Okay. Oh, so I can see there that it's taking a bit of influence on the nose. I must have accidentally clicked that, so take away that influence. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So now we've got a subtle movement of the mouth, and that's what we want. So if I go back to joints, so I'll lock that one, or just that one. I'm going to lock it so it can't be influenced anymore. I'll go down here, and maybe just put a tiny bit in the bottom of the jaw. To help. So I'm adding a little bit there, so it's just softens out the jaw a little bit, stops it becoming too pulled and too square. There you go. Very nice, very nice. Cool. So now that's my mouth done. I'll set that back to it. And always remember, when you're done with something and something's working, lock that layer. We'll go through and we'll be locking everything. Okay. Okay. For the ears look like they worked quite well. Except for just a little bit pulling there in the top of the head and by the neck. So I'm going to go in and do the ears. So let's find my ears. Here we go. My bottom ear joint. There we go. So I'm not actually going to flood this because this is working really nice. I don't want to affect it too much. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my brush, my opacity quite low down, and just start tilting off some of that, especially down here near the neck. Just want to take away from the neck there, and just keep it at the base of the ear, because that small movement in the base of the ear where it's being pulled is quite nice. So I do not want to lose that. A little bit there. Oop. Zoomed in too far there. Okay. I'll give that a test, see how that's done. Okay, quite nice. Nice. Obviously, again, we're not going to do any crazy bends on that, so we don't have to worry about too much. Okay. Now, one thing I can do is I can try and see how actually mirroring over the influence can work. Because we have got a mirror weight tool. There you go, inside skin, mirror weight tool. And I'm always working on the left side. which is in the positive side. So if I just do a save, always be saving, and find that, log that layer, and just check our mirror weights. Yeah, it should be all that. Close that. Mirror that over. You can see there's a little bit of change in the ear. So you see there I've mirrored over the ear. So the weight's now on the ear from the other side. And for the rest of the ear, I'm not going to touch anything. I'm actually going to leave it for the most part, except just take away any influence it has on the rest. So yeah, take away that. Or at least take it off these planes anyway. Definitely take it out of that. There we go. Go. Okay, so I'm going to leave the ears like that, but I am going to go over and just lock them all, so lock all the ears, and then just go over and transfer the weights to the other side. Okay, so let's find my right ear. Oh, just on my eyes as well, so I don't know if I locked my eyes. Maybe I'll lock the base of the eye as well. Okay. Right. That's where I am now. I'll look at the ear. Ear, there we go. Okay. Yeah. So lock them. So now my ears should have quite nice movement to them. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. That's effectively my head done. So what I need to do now is do a save. And so, just to be on the safe side, every time I do something successful, I'll do a save. So what I'm going to do now is just take away any influence the eye base has on the model. So I'll find through my eye base. So some of you might not have this. What I'm looking for is the joint here, because obviously that's carrying influence for the rest of the face, and I don't want that to have any influence at all. That's more of a structural piece, I guess. So let's find, there you go, eye base. So I'm going to unlock that layer, and I'm going to take away all the influence. I'm going to flood negative influence, there you go. So you can see there I've got a little bit of, something's gone a little bit crazy there. I can paint that back out, or back in later. So this, paint out of that. There you go. So let's fix that nose. What isn't being carried with that nose? If I go through here, I've got my head joint there, and I can see that the head isn't carrying that nose, or isn't influencing that nose, so I can just turn my value back to 1, paint that nose back in. Just like that. see there the head isn't carrying that point as well. Stretching plane. Normalized it a bit. There you go. So what I'm actually going to do as well is I'm looking at the chest, and for the most part the chest is working quite nicely. It's just obviously these planes in the neck here, these guys, I want those to be influenced. So I'm going to go in, measure on my head joint, my head joint in the stem, there we go, and I'm just going to start smoothing the influence on there, because I'm not sure if I want actually to have those completely move, quite, you know, like a very static movement. I'd rather have it quite, so they don't move perfectly with our model. But I kind of do it at the same time. So, just clicking and adding a little bit at a time. There we go. So up near the top, where it actually connects to the neck, I'm actually going to paint that 100%. Like that. Okay. Let's give that a check. Much better. This is being stretched, so I'll probably paint that out. Okay. There you go. Oh, good Jake. There you go. So, oh. So he's obviously taking, this is obviously taking influence from somewhere else. I'll have to hunt down. I'll go through the hierarchy now. There you go. Freya is being controlled by the neck joint. And something else. Top. Something to do the ears maybe? Okay, so I'll find out where his influence is later on, so I'm not going to get bogged down, but all in all that's the head done. It's looking okay. Good. So now I'm going to look at the legs. Oh, just to make sure that I actually had all those, just lock those off. So now I'm going to look at the look at the stomach, because this is being pulled quite a lot. Okay, so I'm going to do a save. And I'm going to look for this culprit. So it's definitely something in the spine then. Better. So when I'm looking at the legs, everything's working pretty good. Let me just mirror over. There we go. Yeah, everything's looking pretty good. I don't think I need to do too much inside here. Main global controller. Yeah, it's quite nice. So So with that one I was just looking through the spine controls and looking for what isn't influencing what I feel should be influencing. So it was spine 1, spine 2. Because obviously spine 1 is this guy back here, spine 2 is here. This one is much more in the chest area, so I can worry about that controlling the front half rather than the actual kind of stomach area. So where's my spine? I will lock spine 1 and 2 off because they're working really well. Spine 3, so let's have a see how the actual spine works in general. Okay. Yep, it's working pretty nice. Okay. So, next one down the line. Okay, so I could probably paint out by hand these areas on the head here. So obviously I don't want any influence up there. Just gonna take it out of the back of the ears a little bit. There we go. Soften that. Okay. Okay, I can take away from just... I'm not going to totally take away from the legs, but I'm just going to take it off the back, so it's more... So the influence is much more on the front of the leg here, rather than at the back of the leg here. Okay. So now let's go do so my 3 I can take. Oh, now it's got some influence in the head I can take away. The back of the ears, take that away. The neck, that away. Chest, take that away. Okay, lock that. Now these influences have appeared back here because I'm affecting the influences above and below it. So sometimes the information or the influence kind of re-emerges later on. So that's why we always want to lock our layers. Okay, well locked. Okay. So now the tail. Definitely want to take away from there. Definitely want to take away there. So I'm thinking for the tail is I don't want any movement in the back here, but I'm just going to bring it all the way down to this ring of edges on my model. Oops. Okay, so take away all this, take away all that, take away all that. So punch it back a little bit there. Punch, punch, punch. There we go. So the tail's looking pretty good. It does crush a little bit, but all in all, it's got a pretty nice flow to it. Okay. So I'm actually going to look further down the line, see if there's any more influence. Tail. Okay, so tail 1, I'm going to lock that influence on the tail base, go down to tail joint 1, and just take away everything there, because that's obviously affecting my body. So I don't want. Lock that. Now to the next one, and that's looking okay. Next one, just looking okay. So I can lock those two. Tail joint 1. Okay. So that's more or less my tail done. Okay. So now let's have a look at our legs, because they can be a bit of a pain. So start on our left leg and see how this moves and see how it influences. Okay, so it's taking some influence in the tail there, and obviously it's impacting on this area here. So we definitely want to take away that. Come there. Take it out of that. Oop, not that far. So I'm taking away from the front of the leg here, but I'm leaving a little bit at the back here. I'm actually going to take away this down here, because obviously our thigh doesn't affect the muscles in our calf. So just taking away anything that will affect further down the chain, which I don't want to affect. So if I actually just tilt that forward a little bit, I want to paint some influence back in here. Because as I roll my foot forward, then you can see it was crushing into itself, and obviously I want to maintain a lot of information. Okay, so you can see there that it's a bit fatter now. I'm just going to punch the tiniest bit of influence back in as well. There you go. Much more natural. So we're still getting influence affecting this area here, and it's probably down to something in the lower leg. So if we go down to the knee, the knee is definitely affecting. So turn my opacity back up, go in and start painting a lot of this stuff out. All this area here. Lock the layer above it, because I've probably just done myself out of something. Nope. Cool. So the knee isn't going to affect anything around the body, or I don't want it to anyway. So just going to go through, take away like that. Okay, just take away sections of the back of the leg. Hit it with a bit of smoothness. There you go. Okay, so now if I do my old roly, still a little bit of something. That's probably the next one down the line. There we go. Take out that. Now obviously my heeled section, or whatever you want to think of it, isn't going to have any effect on the body, or sort of like the hip section. So I'm going to take quite a lot of this out, as it's going to just affect things I don't want to be affected. So I'm just painting it a little bit in, because I'm losing a little bit of girth on the inside of the leg. So I'm just going to actually just use the smoothness just to push it back in a little tiny bit. Okay. Perfect. And I can probably leave the toe how it is. There you go. Foot. Okay, no. So on toe, I've got some that I have to take out there. Absolutely take that out. I don't want it. Okay, and lock those. Take that out. And lock that. So now I'm going to start sending that over to the other side using my mirror weights. So now if I just zero out both of these controls, I should have quite a nice mirrored movement. Oops, that one's got some rotate there. Oh, so still something just grabbing right at the back there. Okay. So, just to go through. So when I've done my mirror, it's just added a little bit of something I don't want to be added. So I've just got to go through and take that out. Okay, so we're getting a little bit of crushing on the right side, so I'm just going to go through and start to affect that now. Okay, a little tiny bit in. Ah, it's you. Okay, so sometimes even when we mirror over, we get a few little nasty things just cropping up which you have to deal with. No biggie. So okay. Okay. Nice. Okay, so we're getting a little bit of weirdness. If we pull it up, we're getting a little bit of weirdness from the stomach, which I think is being influenced by something in the front leg. So I'm going to go in there, move them up a little bit, and find the offending party. So, work on the right side. Okay. So I'm just going to take some of this out. Okay, so I definitely don't want my elbow affecting these areas. So taking my brush, take away some of that influence. And mirror that over while I'm here. There we go. Like I said, sometimes the mirroring gives us some nasties that you got to deal with. But if we just work down the chain and just take away what we don't want, we should be in a pretty good situation. Okay. And the toe. Definitely take some of that out. So you don't want to completely take away something out, because if it's working, then there's no reason to take it away and just leave it alone. Because if you start taking everything away, if you start taking too much away, then it starts having like a real adverse effect on your model. Okay. So I'm just going to go through and mirror over, like I said. Where are we? Foot. Okay, that shoulder needs to really calm itself down. affecting too far back. Shoulder there needs to bring off some of that. Take that away back there. So this has all come about when the mirroring was done. Like I said, sometimes it doesn't quite help us out, but it's okay. Much better, much better. So getting a little bit of something on this vertex back here, so I'm just going to go through and just see if I can, oh, stuff from the chest needs to be taken away there. Okay. Okay. And something on the chest there. Just really crop it up. So go through and really take quite a lot out here. Okay. So you can see there, probably the mirroring has just really caused us some issues. So I'm just going through and fixing them, taking out anything that's definitely not meant to be where it is. And then I'm unlocking and relocking these joints. Okay, so I'm going to have a concave chest thing going on here. Do you want to get rid of? Something going on there. Okay. Okay, looking pretty nice. Okay, so we gotta get a little bit of something just to do with that. But we're almost done. Just a few little problem areas. So how's that? Okay, so I'm going to call it here because all I need to do now is just go around and just really just take a little bit of time to do some TLC. You know, a few minor tweaks. They might just take a little bit of time, but eventually I'll get them all sorted out. So that's basically weight painting. It's a slow process. Fortunately, a lot of the weight painting is kind of already done for you by the whole algorithm of how it's actually affecting, how it actually gets bound to the mesh. It's only ever things that are kind of close to each other, like an arm. In this case, the legs, the back and the front legs, and the tail and the ears. They might just, their little circle of influence might clash with something that's not meant to. You have to paint that away. Obviously there are easier models to weight paint. A human is actually incredibly easy to weight paint, especially if it's done properly in a proper T-pose. But that's weight painting for our little creature dude.